Hi, this is James Cook of the University of Maine at Augusta, and I'm recording this video as a walkthrough for parking lot sociology, an exercise in which you will be going out to a parking lot near you. You'll be taking a look at a set of vehicles, motor vehicles in that parking lot. You'll be collecting variables regarding them that will help you test a hypothesis you generate, that it has some basis in theory. The data that you gather, you're going to assemble into a data set, and then you're going to draw some conclusions on the basis of that data set. Finally, you're going to save all that work as a single PDF file, and you're going to share it with me. Now, I want you to do your own independent work in a parking lot regarding variables and work with variables. But in order to help you think about some of the technical aspects of it, I'm going to go through tonight an example of a similar exercise in which I don't look at cars, but I look at books instead. So I have here a set of 10 books, and I have a hypothesis regarding books based on theory, which is that a short title of a book is okay if you have a lot of things to say. If you have a lot of things to say, you're going to have a pressure to distill it down to a short title. If you don't have much to say, on the other hand, you might want to develop a longer, flowery title in order to cover that up. So, my hypothesis is that more content equals a shorter title, and that a shorter title or a longer title is indicative of less content. My independent variable here is the thickness of the book. I'm operationalizing amount of content according to thickness of the book. And the length of the title, I'm counting in words. Now, what did I just do? I operationalized these variables. Length of title, I could have done it in letters, but I'm going to count it as words. And I could have characterized amount of content according to number of words in the book. But that would take a long time to count. So I'm just going to go with thickness as an operationalization instead. Okay, so I've operationalized a couple of variables, I've described a hypothesis, and you'll notice I depicted a theory, which is a story that justifies the hypothesis. Now I need to go collect some actual data. So I'm going to enter my data into a spreadsheet program. A spreadsheet program is just a program that allows you to put data in rows and columns. And you have access to a free program called Google Sheets. Now, you'll need to log in through my.uma.edu, and you'll log in a particular way with your username and password. But once you've logged in, then you will see a three-colored triangle looking sort of thing over in your Launchpad, and it says Google Drive. Click on that and you'll be taken to a page that looks something like this. It may look slightly different for you if you've set up your options differently, but there should be a red button in the upper left-hand corner, and it should say New. Click on it, and then you'll notice you'll have a number of options. One of those is a green icon, and next to it is the word Google Sheets. Click on that, and you will launch your new spreadsheet. Now, a spreadsheet is nothing but a number of cells, and you can put information in each cell. You could type it in, just like you would type words. It's just organized in rows and columns, which is kind of nice. And there's an opportunity for a title. Here, I'm going to put in my title as something descriptive so I can remember it. Book data February 1. Just what I'm going to type in. And then I'm going to want to describe my variables. Now, I'm going to give each of my books a number just so I have a separate identifying number for each book. That's just something I like to do. What's more important is that I'm going to describe the independent variable. And the independent variable is book thickness. And I'm typing that in. And then I'm hitting, for me, an enter key. If you have a Mac, it might be a return key. And then finally, I'm going to describe my dependent variable, which is words in title. Now, those are my 3 columns. I'm going to want to put additional information a few columns over. One of them is my name, right? Because you want to always have your name identified with your work. Okay. And then I'm going to look at the actual activity text to see what the activity asks me to do. Always read that in detail. To do that, I'm going to head over to Blackboard, and I'm going to click on the activities link. And then I'm going to find the text for parking lot sociology. Now here it tells you need to go to a parking lot. You'll need to do that. I'm going to work with books instead. It says you're going to need to identify a dependent variable, okay, and an independent variable. I say your dependent variable has to be numerical. Why? Because I'm going to ask you to describe the difference between some outcomes for one group and some outcomes for another group. And what kind of outcome is it? Something that you can describe in a number, something you can count. A numerical variable is simply a variable that has values that you can count. That's different than, say, what color is this book? Well, this color is blue, mainly. What color is this? It's mostly tan. Tan and blue aren't numbers. You can't take the average of those. Those are categorical variables. Now, your independent variable could be a categorical variable, and that's fine. But your dependent variable should be numerical. You're going to need to develop a hypothesis and describe a theory. Now, I've done that. You will want to, in your Google Sheet, you're going to want to literally type in independent variable, dependent variable, hypothesis, and theory, and you're going to want to write these in. For me, my independent variable is book thickness, and I think that's going to influence the number of words in title. Dependent variable is your outcome. So words in title is my outcome. And my hypothesis is that thicker books will have fewer words. Excuse me, I want to be exact. Fewer words in their title. And my theory, which I already described, I'm going to sum back up and I'm going to describe that, is to say, when an author has more to say, they can afford to have a shorter title. An author with little to say will tend to cover that up with a long title. So that's a theory. It might be true, might not, but it's generating that hypothesis. Now I can start to actually collect data. To do that, I'm going to need to make measurements. So let's start with my first book. This is a really good book by Stanley Milgram, Obedience to Authority. I'm going to call that book number 1. Oh, and I'm going to make this a bit larger so that you can see what I'm doing. Okay, and I'm going to make my columns, I'm going to adjust them. This is just so you can see the video a little bit better. Okay, so now I have book number 1. I'm just giving it an arbitrary number. I'm going to measure the thickness And I'm going to say that is 0.6 inches. Okay. Now I realize I need to be more specific than thickness, right? 0.6. My independent variable to operationalize it is inches. It has to have units, right? Units. Words in title. I need to write for my dependent variable number of words in title. That's a count. Okay. Oh, obedience to authority. 3. Okay. Now I have here A Child's Christmas in Wales by Dylan Thomas. Wow. Okay. That's a half. That's a quarter. That's... Wow, I'm having a little trouble measuring that thickness. Half, quarter, 8. It's an eighth of an inch, which is book number 2, 0.125. And I just happen to know that you may, have to do some calculations. A Child's Christmas in Wales, 5 words. The Victorian Internet by Tom Stainage, good book. It's about the telegraph. It's book number 3, and it has 3 words in its title, and its thickness is I'm going to say 0.75. Okay. The Ocean at the End of the Lane. The Ocean at the End of the Lane. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 words by Neil Gaiman. Book number 4. Thickness. 0.6, I'm going to say. Now I'm going to do this for 10 books. You're going to do this for at least 20 motor vehicles. But you get the idea. You just repeat, and you notice each variable has a column, 1.5 inches. And each case, each distinct observation for each object you measure, which for you is going to be a motor vehicle, for me it's a book, it will have its own row. Okay, so this is book number 5, 1.5 inches, and Cleopatra, Life. That's 3 words. Whoops, not 2, but 3. Good Story for Kids, Green Glass House. Oh, that's 2 words. This is book number 6. How thick is it? 1.25. Okay. All the President's Men nonfiction book. Made the careers of its authors. Carl Bernstein and Bob Woodward. Good book. Good history now. Okay. 1.1 inches of thickness. Okay. Book 8. Chaos, Making a New Science. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 words in the title. And we're almost there. And thickness is 0.9 inches. Okay. Now, juggling for the complete klutz. Still haven't figured out how to do it. Juggling for the complete klutz. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 words in the title for book 9. Okay, so I'm just putting that in. Oh, and the nice thing up here is you'll notice up at the top it says all changes saved in Drive. It's saving it automatically, and it's saving it up on the cloud for you. So if you have an internet outage or an electrical outage, don't worry, you can go right back to it. Just look for it in Google Drive. It'll be listed there on your Google Drive. And this is, I'm going to say, again, 0.125 inches. Okay, and then finally 2 words, puppy training, for book number 10. 2 words, and how thick is it? Okay. It is 0.5 inches, 0.5 inches. Okay. Well, now I need to, this is nice, I have my data, but I need to do more than that. I need to draw some conclusions. Okay, I've gone up through step 7, which was using a Google Sheet spreadsheet on Google Docs, or now it's called Google Drive, I suppose. Enter your data and all the above information. So I've done that. Excellent. Now, step 8, draw a conclusion. Is your hypothesis supported by the data you've collected? Well, let's take a look. I'm going to do something now, which is that I'm going to order the data. So my hypothesis is that thicker books will have fewer words in their title. So I'm going to take, and I'm going to click on, see these letters up at the top? Those are the headers. I'm going to click on that header where it says A, and then I'm going to drag over, and you notice now it's selecting. You can see because of the shading, I've selected the first 3 columns, and then it says data. I want to click sort range. Okay, I clicked data and sort range. Now I want to sort by column B, book thickness. And I'm going to click a little box that says it has a header row, because it does. A header row just means a row in which there are titles. Okay, and I'm going to sort. Okay, oh, check it out. Now it's sorted my data so that the thinner books are at the top, the thicker books are at the bottom. Now, I could do something, I could do a few things. Okay, let's see, let's take a look. My claim is I have to draw a conclusion. Is the hypothesis supported by the data that I've collected? Okay, so to do that, I could say, well, there's some really thin books, some sort of thin books, and some really thick books. I could draw, say, 3 categories. And I could say, okay, let's see. These are my really thin books here. So, I'm going to type in findings. And then I'm going to describe what I see. And I say the really thin books had 5 words in their title on average. Because they do. You see that the top 2 are the thinnest, the really thin ones. The really thick books. Ooh, and I'm going to describe what the really thin books are. The really thin books, 0.125 inches. The really, what they are, I'm operationalizing that. The really thick books, more than an inch thick, had how many on average? Well, there's one that's 4, and one that's 2, and one that's 3. That averages out to 3. You could check me on that, but it does. Had 3 words in their title. In their titles, I want to use the correct plural, on average. The medium thickness books between these ranges had, what is the average? Well, let's see. It's this one, and now this one, and that one. Okay, there are 5 of them all together. Now, you notice I clicked on one of them, here up at the top, and then I dragged down. And you'll notice down at the bottom, it's telling me the sum of them is 25. I bet if I click there, it'll tell me, the average is 4. See, average? 4.16666666666. 7, rounded up. Okay, so it gives me the answer. It gives me the average for that category. Okay, so let's see. The medium thickness books had 4.166666666. That goes on forever, so you just round it up with a 7. Words in their titles on average. Looking at these books, I find support for the hypothesis that thicker books will have fewer words in their title because as the books I observed went from thinnest to thickest, the number of words on average in the title went up. So what did I just do there in my findings? I described the pattern in the findings. I restated the hypothesis to reiterate that this is my hypothesis. And then I described what the pattern was. Why? Because you're dealing with a faculty member who's going to be looking at your work, and you want to give them every possible reason to understand you. So be as crystal clear as you can be. Write in complete sentences, not just because your professors like it, but because complete sentences are easier to read. That's a good way to make sure you pass. Okay. Now, let's go back to the text of the activity. And let's, and now it says what to do. Using the file download as function, okay, save your work to your computer as a PDF file. A PDF file, a portable document format, it's a format for a file that just about any other computer can read. And that's how I want you to save it. So now we're going to do that. We're going to go to File, Download As, which is exactly what the instructions say. And then I'm going to pick PDF document. Oh, now it gives me all these options. Well, I'm going to try one. Let's see what fit to width does, okay? And we're just going to see how it works out. How are we going to see? We're going to check the PDF file. So I'm going to export it. And then I'm going to wait. And then, oh dear. Okay, I'm going to see that it created a bit of a problem. The problem was that it goes all the way off the end when I wrote a lot. That's a problem. So we don't want that, right? We want something a little better than that. So we'll go right back to Google Sheets and we'll try downloading it another way. Maybe we will put it in portrait and export. Let's see what that does. Not much better. So what can I do creatively at this point? Well, I know one thing I can do. I can go to this findings here, and for every sentence, I can retype it in a different column here. So I have one or a different row. So I have that row for the first sentence. Then I'm going to put in this row for the second sentence. And now I'm going to take the rest out. And then I'm going to have the next row for the following sentence. And then I'm going to select the rest and take it out. By the way, I'm taking it out using the cut and paste function on a Windows computer. That's Control X for cut and Control V for paste. And I'm going to put the rest in, Control V. Looking at these books, I find support for the hypothesis because as the books I observed went from thinnest to thickest, the number of words on average in the title went up. That's a very long sentence, so I'm going to break it up. And I'm going to paste the last of it in here. Now, when I do that, I bet it's going to solve my problem. Okay, working with this sort of thing is like problem solving. So I'm going to go to File, Download As, PDF document. Always check your work. Make sure it can be read by your grader. That's me. Hey, look at that. There it is. It's a PDF file. And now you can upload it. That's super. We can all read that. I can look at the data. It's all right there, nicely packaged for me. Super. And now, what's the last step? It says, upload your work. Click the activities link on our course Blackboard page. Okay, we already did that. That takes us to this page. And then select Activity 3, Parking Lot Sociology, clicking the title to be taken to a page where I can upload it. So I'm going to do that. Sure hope it works. Here it is. And there's all kinds of stuff here. La 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 la. Okay. Great. Now I'm going to use Attach File. And it says right next to it, Browse my computer. And I'm going to go find that thing. Is it in Downloads? I have to remember where I saved it. I don't know exactly where I saved it. I think it's a download. I'm going to go find that file. There it is. Yep. And now I'm going to look at that, and I'm going to add comments, and it's going to say, Dear Professor Cook, here is my work, and more sentences follow. If you have any special explanations of why certain cells are green and other ones are yellow, make sure to write it all down. Always nice to sign it like you were writing a letter. Sincerely, Professor Cook. I'm writing to myself. I know it's a little kooky. And then be sure to hit submit. That's why it's a red button, right? Never want to miss that. And there it is. You can review the submission below. You can see that it's been uploaded. You're all set. You're done. That didn't take too long. The only thing that will take you a little bit longer is that you have to go out. You have to figure out what kind of variables you can measure about a motor vehicle. What kind of numerical variable will be your dependent variable? What can you count about a car? Or a truck or a motorcycle. Those are all motor vehicles. I want you to think about that. Think about it, think about it, think about it. There's some answers there. Numbers, counts. Think about that. Collect some data. I look forward to seeing it. I look forward to seeing your hypotheses, to seeing if your hypotheses were supported or not. It's going to be a really fun assignment. So go to it. And be sure to get in touch with me if you have any questions. I'll be sure to write back within about a 24-hour period. Thanks.